Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Um, this is a good, I don't know what you would call it. Let's just call it truth. Although it sounds, although it sounds political, and they are talking about political things in this. I saw this today, and I'm like, I have to do a reaction to this. I just let it also play because what the guy on the right, Gerald Salent, both of them, but Gerald Salent on the right, what he's saying, he he breaks down what's happening in this world really well. And this isn't a Christian thing, okay? I don't know. I think he may be Christian because I think he says he quotes something, but that doesn't mean anything. But there are some things in here that I don't really have an opinion to, and it doesn't mean that that's what I believe. And because he makes a comment about the Ashkenazi Jews, and after I'm done this episode, I'm going to investigate it because I'm well aware that a lot of the Jews came from Europe, right? They came from Germany. They came from like a lot from Germany, and also other places in Europe and Russia. But I have to investigate that to see. There's just a lot to it. I don't have an opinion. I've never gone in any depth about that. And what they're talking about is because of a comment that Robert Kennedy Jr. said about the virus only targeting blacks and Caucasians and not the Ashkenazi Jews. And people got really angry at that. But it turned out to be the truth. And what Robert Kennedy Jr. was talking about, and the Chinese they said were immune too. Because you can target things today by DNA. You can do that. If they want, they could take a piece of my hair, right? They could take a piece of my hair and they could develop some type of serum, whatever. They could mist it in the wind, whatever, and I would get sick and no one else would. I don't know, I saw that on James Bond. But one of the only moves I've seen in the last few years. But you get the point, though. Before I start this, you're gonna enjoy this, I think. There are some things I want to talk about, and I have to go to my email because I should really put a sheet in front of me. But anyways, I want to talk about some things first. I just wanted to say quickly, I got some comments, still getting a lot of comments from exposing the darkness. So that ministry that I expose, okay? I'm not trying to do anyone harm. That's never my purpose, but I get a lot of dumb comments, okay? People saying things that to me, I don't feel like they're Christian by the way they talk to you on a message. And so if you're wondering why I eat, why I talk slowly at this time, is because I have the most painful disease on earth, and I sit down at the end of my day for 3 hours because I stand from the time I get up until this time. The only way I'm able to sit down without constantly shifting and just the difficulty with the shortness of breath with speaking gets a lot worse. I don't have real cardiac problems. I'm talking about dysphonia, which was really tough. I use food. I use food in front of me on a plate, and I take 3 hours to eat it to distract me so I can do whatever I have to do. If I didn't have food in front of me, I could not sit in this seat and take it. So people, that's what they're doing. They're people coming from this other ministry. There's a lot of them. They're saying a lot of stuff. It doesn't bother me. I just, some people, right? Anyways, I'm going to go to another screen just for a second and talk about some things, and then I'm going to play this video. You'll enjoy it. So I just want to talk about this quickly. I am trying to put together, by the way, a compilation video of everything that's going wrong in this world, like doing real editing, and it's above this. So it's called Inaction is the Cause, but you know, what's happening in this world is because of inaction, because people aren't willing to do anything. It's just a lot of people on news channels, you know, like Fox and wherever it may be. They're all rich. They're not willing to get in the way. They're willing to speak. There's, you know, these seemingly alpha people. All they do is talk. That's all they do. That's all they do. They why don't all these people, Candace Owens, let's just say Valuetainment, Joe Rogan, why don't all these people get together? This is what I see happening right now, because they have the ability to do this, okay? I see a civil war. I've been watching politics for 25 years. I can see the way it's ramping up. I can see the way the countries are ramping up. I'm not trying to make anyone, you know, antsy about this. That's not what I'm trying to do. We know this is coming, and by letting all these illegal migrants in, a lot of things are going to happen. Let's just walk through this. I believe it's all planned. You know it. Whoever wants, you'll see in this. By the way, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a sermon by Charles Lawson. It's so interesting. Please watch it. I just watched it, so I saw 2 excellent things in a row. Whoever wants, you know, they're basically forcing the, you know, conservatives. I don't know, like that's to say my country. Because in the United States, I don't really believe there are conservatives anymore. I believe there is, but they're not speaking up. There's not a party of them. It's just the Republicans. It's going to end up in civil war. That's what it's coming to. Look what they're doing. I just wanted to talk about this. The tempo of politics, people speaking out. So I see a lot of people speaking out now, like, let's go do something. I'm talking about private people. Like, I'm seeing more of it. Because so many bad things are happening. And why is that? Because these migrants are taking over their towns. I just saw a video, okay? Just before I hit play. And, you know, sometimes I don't watch this stuff regularly, but if I see something right before I'm going to eat, then I'll look at it. It was a migrant caught in a Costco. There's this big, huge guy. He's probably 280 pounds. And he catches an illegal videotaping his fiance's butt. He takes his phone and he starts calling people and showing them this is what he's doing. And it showed a bunch of them, not just that one. I have no idea why the conservatives and Republicans in the United States haven't done something a long time ago, and it's coming to that point. And so, who are these people? Where are all these bad situations coming from? Where are they all coming from? They're coming from the left. They keep creating them. Why do they do that? To throw you off base. While behind your back, they're making all these kinds of laws for the rich. Did you not think that if you just keep letting the rich just keep getting away with it, making these new laws, these LGBTQ laws that like making us prisoners, making us actual prisoners in our homes. Do you think that if we don't do anything about it, you don't think they're just going to keep going and going and going? Because that's what they're doing. By the way, if I get kicked off of this somehow, just know that I'll come back with something else if I can get back on. If I can't, then oh well, I'll just whatever. I just learned, and you'll learn in this podcast. I know I'd said play in a second. I just want to get this across. Do you know that 45% of the world's wealth of 8 billion people, for some reason people still think there's 7 billion people, there's 8 billion people. Of that 8 billion, 1% of the population owns basically 50%. It's 45% of the world's wealth. That's going to keep going up. They literally fired 1,200 employees at Tyson Foods in the States, said, sorry, we can't afford you anymore, only to flip around and hire illegals. Illegal, I say illegal because they are illegal. 52,000 of them. You don't think this is done purposely? You don't think Lahaina? You don't think all these, everything, the train? And then they put it in your TV shows. Like The Simpsons and all those types of things. And so, and I found this very interesting. I wanted to say this, and then I'm going to get into this video because it's so interesting. You may not agree with the guy in some things, but he's telling the truth, and I like people who tell the truth. You know the chip, the chips and with Taiwan, and if you're seeing me on video for the first time, I talked about this before. Those chips, by the way, and if you can't stand my chewing on here, then don't watch my videos, because people were saying that, oh well, I told you why I do this. People have no idea. It would take 15 years, that's what they say, to replicate what Taiwan has. They're like specially made machines. They're like big machines. With, like, they took years to develop, put it that way. And you can't just move them. They would have done that already if that were the case, because, we're talking about many buildings worth. Why did we ever let Taiwan do all the chip making? I think Japan does 5 or 15%. But I heard this great analogy today, or they were trying to diagnose. They're wondering if China is not in war with the U.S. by now, because of those chips, because they're so worried about it. Because if China tries to take them, it doesn't matter. They can't have any special plan. They can't use if it was World War II, they would use airborne troops to secure the buildings. You can't do that because today you can just target it and blow it up and burn it. They're worried that they're going to burn it because that will put everyone back to the year 2000, I think. That's why I said in earlier videos a long time ago, this is 2024. This is the year that people are saying everything's going to happen, whether or not that happens or not. To buy an extra cell phone, buy a really durable extra cell phone, buy a computer, buy both if you can afford it. Things that are going to last, because you may never get one again, right? Let's go to this video. As before, I may have seen the guy in the Gerald Salent on some other shows, but I just want you to hear this because there's a lot of truth in it. It doesn't mean I agree with everything. So here we go.
The first time on our channel, quite a well-known figure in, I think, what we can now describe as the Truth and Sound Money movement, Gerald Cliente. Gerald, very glad to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Without further ado, because we've only got a certain amount of time, what's forefront of your mind, Gerald, in terms of what's going
You see how much truth is in that? No, I'm just kidding.
on in the world and how people should be viewing, the key pressure points?
I've been at this now since 1980, 44 years. I've never seen a time of more danger geopolitically or socioeconomic. Tracking trends is the understanding of where we are, how we got here, and where we're going. And you look at where we are and how we got here, it's a freak show in front of everybody's eyes.
Getting
And
ice.
these are some of my books. This is Trend Tracking, far better than Megatrends, Time Magazine. Trends 2000, international bestseller. Been publishing the Trends Journal since 1991. Been at this a long time. And we look at the facts. We're political atheists. We don't take sides on anything in terms of making trend forecasts. So when you go back to the Trends Journal on February 22nd, 2022, 2 years before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we said from COVID war to Ukraine war to World War. World War III has begun. Is only going to be a false flag event or something happens, like a Pearl Harbor kind of thing, where we all unite and go to war, like 9/11, the war on terror. And by the way, when I talk about Ukraine, Russia attacking Ukraine, you go back to our Trends Journal 2014, and we wrote all about the United States overthrow the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine.
Indeed.
And how they killed over 15,000 people in Donbass, how the Ukrainians violated the Minsk agreements, on and on and on. All the facts are there. But anyway.
So that is true, by the way, that they signed the Minsk agreements and they just kept violating it. So that is true. What this guy is saying is true. They are facts.
Going back to World War III. One of our top trends for 2023 was Middle East meltdown. We warned this was going to happen. When they again elected that murderous, slimy piece of crap, Benjamin Netanyahu. People forget, when I was a kid and I started learning.
Stop there, okay? Because when he says that about Netanyahu, that's when I say I don't really have an opinion. I don't have an opinion. I just want you to hear the rest of this. Don't turn it away because of that. That's why I'm starting to read about the Ashkenazi Jews. I want the Jews to be saved, right? That's why I have to learn a little bit more about them. So I don't have anything to say about that. Keep listening to the reasoning.
Learning stuff, and I get upset about, Dad, how come people are, my father would say to me, son, take it easy. He said, people have little minds. In other words, most people don't know. Hey, and by the way, I don't think we should be talking about any of this anymore. Let's talk about Taylor Swift. All right? That's the headline news. Did she get laid last night? Did she get screwed at halftime? I mean, this is the kind of crap that the people know. So going back to the Middle East meltdown, there were 39 weeks of major protests going on in Israel. After Netanyahu tried to push through his Judicial Reform Act, which basically said he couldn't be brought up on corruption.
Yeah.
The president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, called it a civil war. A civil war was raging on in Israel before the October 8th or 7th Hamas attack in Israel last year.
I keep forgetting to put it on mute, but we know there was, right? Like a civil war, as in like they were actually fighting. No, not as far as I know. But boy, was it ever. This was going on week after week after week. The streets were filled. I can't pretend to know everything that's going on, and that's why I don't have a true opinion. But keep listening to the reasoning.
Yeah. So one of my lines is, when all else fails, they take you to war. All the facts are there that they knew this thing was going to happen. 2 days, again, we only put the facts in the Trends Journal. Only the facts. 2 days after this thing happened, reports came out that the United States and Egypt both warned Israel that this was going to happen, and now all the other information is coming out, telling me it was going to happen. And by the way, go to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, and they'll keep writing about and telling you about that the Israelis killed a lot of these people that they said Hamas killed. And there's the picture of the tank, the Israeli tank blowing up the kibbutz, and the helicopter shooting at people. So,
Yeah.
World War III has begun. There's going to...
Okay. I'm never anything but honest on my channel. Guys, I love Israel as much as any of you do. I don't want to be wrong about something, so I don't really want to have an opinion before I truly know what's going on, right? What he said there was true. They had been warned many times. His analogy of when all else fails, go to war, could that be true? Is it possible that Netanyahu got all the warnings but said, I have to be in power. Look, this attack's coming, and so there's always some type of attack coming on some country, right? If you leave it undefended, especially if they have a plan. Iran wants to do a lot of stuff to Israel. Could it be true that they let it, happen so they could keep power? I don't know the true answer to that, and I don't know. All I say is it could look suspicious. I don't want to be wrong because I want to give all sides a chance, and I just want to know the truth, just like you do. I don't know the truth. And I don't think anyone does yet. There's a lot of suspicion.
That's my major concern. So we're telling people, you better prepare. One of my lines is guns, gold, and a getaway plan. But there's, and I see this crap about these billionaires building bunkers. A craphead. If there's a nuclear war, after it's over, you're going to come out and have a good time? What kind of moron could you be? And where are all you billionaires not putting one penny out there for peace? You know why? Because you're all pieces of crap. That's why.
That's why I played this. I forget what it is. Is it Revelation? I just read it the other day. It's Revelation 6, isn't it? It's the sixth seal. They're all going to hide in their bunkers and all that. These people are so rich, and part of my video that I'm doing editing to compile all the things that are happening in this world has to do a lot with the elite. Listen to this. Sorry, Mike Truman. I was investigating, and so should you, Amazon, Walmart, during the COVID pandemic. They'll flag me for just saying that. That's the way it is. Google will. Google, YouTube, same thing. They squeezed out so many mom and pop stores, it's not even funny. They take the money for it. They closed them down. They let them stay open. I think it was And I think, I'm not kidding you, they said something like in a 2 or 3 month period. That's it. It could have been a month. You'll have to wait till I finish it. I don't know, I'll come up maybe a week or so. Jeff Bezos, whatever, who's the richest man now, made $48 billion during that time, not in total, just over a month or 3 months. This is what this man's talking about. Think of what you could do with that money. Just that money right there. You could feed Africa for 1 year. No one would be in starvation. It cost $5 billion. They've estimated for 1 year. So that's 9 times, and a bit of change. 9 times. That's 9 years. Let's just say 9.5 years. Why don't they want peace? Because all they think about is themselves. And that's what this is coming to. And this is why they're building their bunkers. Because they're weak. They're cowards. People say they're alpha dogs and they're this and that. No, they're not.
So that's my greatest concern. On the geopolitical end, on the economic end, banks going bust. Nobody's talking about it. We're the only ones. We warned about an office building bust when they locked down everybody, forced people to work at home, week after week, month after month, year after year, and people are saying, holy Christ, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to commute an hour and a half each way, standing like this, driving. I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah. Hey, I'm the guy that has 10 stories in an office building. Listen, stay at home. I don't see these people in cubicles anyway. I don't need to pay all this rent. There's an office building bust that's going to bring down the banks. No one is talking about it. We've been writing about it in detail. All they do is talk about the equity markets, where they're going, the magnificent.
So, in that, it's so hard to keep this ice up here, man. I don't have anything to do it with, but think about that. Think of all these office buildings, like you said, that are going to go bust, and who's going to take it? It's going to be the bank. So they're transforming it into like housing, and like this housing crisis isn't just Canada and the States. It's Australia. It's the UK. It's bad in Canada. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think they planned it that way? When you look at the pandemic, which many call the plandemic, I believe it was planned. That's just my opinion. That's what I believe probably happened. I wonder how much they calculated could benefit them. There are so many different aspects where they could have made a lot of money. Pharma. It's endless, guys. It's endless. I don't mean for the everyday person like you and me. I mean for them at the top. It's brutal. Those office buildings, like we're talking about, like Wall Street and all these huge buildings, if they go default, boy oh boy. And then what do the rich do? They start buying it up, right? They buy up everything. That's what I was going to say in another thing. You know why they're buying up everything? They're buying up housing and this and that so they can rent it to you. You will own nothing and be happy.
Magnificent Seven. Who the hell are you talking to? Hey, how about the rest of the world? No. We'll only talk about the Magnificent Seven. People have no idea how bad this is, so we're telling them you better prepare for the worst.
Yeah, on that very point, actually, the Canadian pension got out of a commercial building in central New York for $1 to its partners. Cut it and run. Take it for $1. I don't want the debts. I don't want all the costs. And I'm hitting the door. And commercial real estate, of course, is the pension crisis because it's loaded with that. Never mind the fact that they're also loaded with T-bills, and that 40-year bull market ended in 2020.
Exactly. You go back, perfectly you said that. Go back to 2019. At that time, the nation's fourth the world's fourth largest economy, Germany, in 2019 was going into a recession. That's before the COVID war began on January 2020, launched from China on their Lunar New Year, the year of the rat. And then they artificially propped up the economies with trillions of dollars of fake money printed on nothing and backed by nothing to fight the COVID war. Here, stay home. Here's some money. Don't worry about it. Hey, here's some money. Yeah, the airlines.
When they, when Biden took out the gas line, like I'm telling you, I remember speaking to a lady in my building here, and she's a Democrat. She lived both here and in the States, and I try to avoid any serious debates because I'm just like this Biden guy, like he's just doing all these bad things. I said, the day it happened, the night it happened, the night we knew it happened, I said that was the states that did that. That was my first guess. And I still believe it, and obviously most people do, because that's what Biden said. If you do this, I'm going to take it out. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I can give you the video evidence of it. That's freely available. Think of the people who would suffer and the people who would benefit. Germany would suffer. France would suffer. Europe would suffer. Many people would suffer. It took a while for people to figure out that natural gas from the States, which they charged 3 times more than what Putin gave it for, that he got from them. And all of a sudden, because of what the United States did, you find Germany in a decline. What is their plant? Their oldest, their chemical plant, their BASF, right? That went under, or they had to move to China. No wonder Germany's going under, and whose fault is it?
Here's money. Hey, business, here's your money. Oh, and we'll bring the interest rates down to 0 in the U.S. and keep them negative over in the EU. And we'll keep up buying corporate bonds and China, in Japan and the United and Europe. Don't worry about it. We'll keep artificially propping this thing up. The prop is over. It's going to crash. It's only a matter of time. Again, I've been at this again for 44 years. You don't always get it right. The reason being is people say I'm a futurist. Nobody can predict the future. There are too many wild cards, whether they're made by humans or nature. And the wild cards, I thought the markets would crash in 2012. They didn't. Because they didn't teach me about zero interest rate policy and a thing called quantitative easing in economics 101 or graduate school. They made up this crap. I thought the markets would crash when they locked down the world. They didn't teach me in economics 101 or graduate school that the crime syndicate that people call a government would artificially prop all this up. Oh, and by the way, make the rich richer. Merger and acquisition activity in 2021 hit an all-time high. The bigs are buying out everything. All we are plantation workers of Slavelandia. According to Oxfam, 1% out of 8 billion people own 43% of all the equities in the world. And in the USSA,
Had that a bit off.
1% own 54%. And when you put in the 10%, they own 90%. People own nothing.
Yeah. And in fact, inflation is one of the most...
Do you hear that? The reality is this. Is, when there was plantations and people were doing slave labor, what he's explaining is it's 100 times worse, and it's going to get really bad. I don't think God's going to allow for the people who love him too much anyways. I just don't think so. I think God will help. I think God will help those who love Him. That's what I believe. Whatever it is. Excuse me. Remember what Paul the Apostle said. I learned to live with much, right? And I learned to be content with little. And that can happen, right? What we're dealing with in the world. I'm not just going to say the States, but I'm going to tell you I believe the most evil people are there. That's what I believe. That's what I see. How is Biden still in power? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense because it's not supposed to make sense at this point in time. They just keep throwing one disaster after the next. That's how evil these people are. It's just brutal.
Aggressive tools for enrichment for the billionaire class, because they get to borrow at super low rates and debt gets devalued and they buy tons of assets. But for everybody else, the upper middle, the middle, and the working class, it's actually a dilution mechanism on their currency, which sees essentially all the chips on the casino table be tipped over to the other side, just as you've described. And people don't realize that.
Yep. Yep. Perfectly said. You're right.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that guy Schwartzman, who owns the head of was it Blackstone or Black? Is it Blackstone? BlackRock? Not BlackRock.
Probably
The other
Blackstone.
one.
Yeah.
Blackstone. Yeah. How did they make all their money? Oh, after the banking crisis, again, we forecast the Panic of '08. We took out the domain name in 2007. Panic of '08. Brought to you by the Bankster Bandits, right?
Yeah.
So everybody that they're foreclosing on homes. Blackstone starts buying up all these homes.
Yeah.
Can't own a home, but we'll rent you one. We'll rent you one. Oh, and you know what the news was last week? He didn't make $1 billion last year. He only got like 887 million or something. You know, it's some ridiculous number. There's a crime syndicate running the world. It's all it is. Again, when I was a young guy, there were grocery stores, hardware stores, stationery stores, drug stores. Now they're grocery chains, hardware chains, stationery chains, drug chains. We're just chained. This is better. This is better than the plantation system, because back then you had to house them and feed them. Now you work at Walmart's, Lowe's, Home Depot. Yes, there's enough money. Get the hell out of here and come back tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. BlackRock did a lot of the buying, and that is our friend, what's his name, Larry Fink. But
I don't know if I could say that every single billionaire is like that, but wouldn't you think the majority? When all they care about is what they see in their stocks, you know, all that type of stuff. How often do you see a billionaire take, I don't know, let's just say a 50 billionaire, and I'm sure there's enough of them, take $100 million and go and make some people extremely happy for free, no tax, anything, because that's what they want, right? That's why they run these, what are they called? Can't think of the word right now. Not non-profits, but what do they call themselves? It's a deceiving word anyways. I just can't think of it on the spot because of my pain. Where they, go and do good things with money, but really all it is like it's just they get a tax benefit out of it and they end up getting more money from it. Do you know of any stories of any billionaires doing things out of their own pocket? That's what I would like to know. I haven't seen stories, and I'm sure if that's what they do, I would probably hear some of them. I could be wrong, but I think this is pretty well known. Like, just think of the things that they could solve together, right? And like what Elon Musk and all that. I remember someone said to him and put him on the spot about, why don't you give to charity? And he said, because I can't trust him. You can't trust him. And the reality is you don't know where your money's going, right? And that's what it's become. That's what it has become. I'm not saying all charities are like that. That's not what I'm saying. But here was one of the smartest men, right? Saying that he doesn't give because he doesn't trust them. Holy man. He could make his own. And I think the question was posed to him about feeding people. Do you see Elon Musk with $200 billion? Jeff Bezos with $200 billion? Do you see them doing any of this type of stuff? No, they're investing in everything that's more advanced. AI. By the way, AI is going to kill us.
I think Schwartzman must be Blackstone or one of the others, but they're all the same anyway, really. The names change, but the modus operandi is the same. And they are hoovering up the assets, and they're quite serious about this World Economic Forum mandate or strap line, if we can, of you will own nothing, and we assume be happy on our meds and pharma installments that they'll no doubt be providing for our UBI. They want everyone as board of state, basically, and ultimate ownership. And on that point, I want to ask you about something, because I have this view. Larry Fink, seeing as he came up, and BlackRock, because of the property accumulation you were saying, he's a big fan of this tokenization element. And this is the new derivative, in my opinion, a new proxy holding for real assets. So you'll buy a home in the future, you'll buy a car in the future, and there'll be some non-fungible token. They can actually buy that and assume ownership of it, and then trigger the rental agreement. So you'll literally become a rentier society where all our assets have to be listed, tokenized, and put on a web. They can be searched in this surveillance finance blockchain realm. What's your take on?
So there's another point, or I guess where people are wondering if, they're purposely trying to make things fall incrementally to start buying everything up. So they end up owning everything. Smart.
On Mr. Fink's excitement about tokenization and the fact that it transcends national boundaries. So you really will go into the NWO. Someone in a far off land could buy your home and trigger the rental agreement. That's my take and my forward prognostications, I suppose. It's speculation on my behalf. How's your feeling around this tokenization as a technology and how it will be used or weaponized against us?
I think you're 100% right, and it all ties into to the central bank digital currencies. They
Yeah.
know every penny you spent, where you spent it, what you spent it on. It's globalization. Again, once upon a time,
Surveillance.
I'm not saying this in a racial, judgmental, derogatory way. This isn't the way it's meant to be. Where I live, it's I don't know, some of my city. I live in a city outside a city. They're amalgamated. They're all called. I'm just not going to say. But there are quite a few rich people on one side of town, and it is close to me. And so my brother bought a house back there, and I think he bought it when it was I don't even know how he afforded it. It was something like 700 grand. That's houses, that's cheap, okay? 700,000, and within, or it might have been a little bit less. Anyways, it went up 200 grand in like 2 years in Canada. And yes, we're in Canada. It's a lot of multicultural, but our land is being bought up by the Chinese, and this is happening in the States too. They're buying up so much land. Our government is having a very hard time. This is the way the world is right now. We have such weak leaders. So when I went to move out of my dad's house to find a place, there was no places, because where where my brother lives, he says he's one of the only white people on the street because they're all Asian. And I have nothing against any colors. I'm just telling you the way it is. And it's because China is sending over many people, or just many people are coming over, but they're letting them come over because, think of their population, 1.4 billion. How many rich people do you think don't want to live there anymore, to live in America or to have dual citizenship? Anyways, they're taking all the housing, and that's why there's the housing market is so expensive, why rates are going up. And whenever they try to put a special tax on them, they don't care. They're so rich, it does not matter. So much of Canada is their houses are Chinese. It's unfortunate you let other countries just buy up all your stuff. You don't even think about. And one of the reasons is Justin Trudeau, by the way, just to let you know. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. They know, again, it's all it is. And they're in total control. The big zone everything. They own the world. And again, when you look at, you talked about the Klaus Schwab group over there. You look at that guy. Could you get a freakier looking clown than that jerk?
Same with India.
Look, one after another. Look what these guys look like. I mean, a bunch of lowlifes. And they're telling everybody what to do. Again, the people have lost their fight. In this country, America, the fight is gone. People don't like me. They don't like my language because I'm a Napolitano that grew up in the Bronx. All right, get it in your head.
Nobody wants to fight
at the
about
height
this.
of America. The energy, end of World War II. The energy was so uplifting. You were free to be yourself. I get in a fight with my father, may he rest in peace, and he said, "You little bastard. You think I'm telling you what I'm telling you because I want you to be like me? I want you to become yourself." Not anymore. Not anymore. You have to believe everything that we tell you. If you don't believe everything that we tell you and don't swallow our crap, you believe in misinformation. The fight is gone. The men aren't men anymore. They get their thing cut off and they become something else, I mean, and that's okay. You're 7 years old, go to New Jersey, and you don't know if you're a boy or a girl yet. That's okay. Who the hell are you talking to? That's what I'm trying to say. It's the fight that has been lost, that people allowing these little freaks in a country near you to destroy us. And as you're pointing out, they're taking control of everything in every different way they can in the AI new world. AI, we own you.
Yeah. And the way it's happened, I like you. My biggest disappointment is in my fellow men. I think we're suffering from cowardice and integrity absence, and a complete absence of courage and absolute cowardness. But when I look...
So where do you see people standing up anywhere? Certainly it is happening. And by the way, I was going to share something, but I'm not going to because it'd be kind of out of place. But there are some people trying to coordinate some stuff, some very worthy stuff, You can't say that, and by the way, what they're just talking a second ago, their number one AI, they were very stupid to let it go. And it's the elites who are doing this. And by the way, it does have the power to kill us. It does. And you don't believe me? Listen to the next, listen to what I link. It's Charles Lawson. It's about AI. It's a sermon about AI, not by AI. He is very knowledgeable. He has some good sermons. If I forget to link it somehow, either ask me how to get it or just look at his latest stuff. It wasn't from... It was someone else doing it called Charles Lawson Fan. Anyways, I'll do my best to remember. All people stuck on these devices, they're living a fake lie, right? Because you live in an electronic world, you become You become afraid of certain things. You start becoming fearful of certain things. Read the Bible, and you won't be let that way if you just keep reading and reading and reading. God doesn't give a spirit of fear. It's Satan who does. This is destroying us. This whole digital world, and this is what they're saying, one of the reasons I'm playing this. It's destroying us. The internet. Turn the power off.
How they've gone about it, it's been very sleight of hand as well. It's been a boiling frog mechanism. It's almost like an anaconda. They put 4 wraps around the body before they began the squeeze. They made sure that they seized every single apparatus that could be highlighting their misdeeds, from media, banking, legal, religion. They've captured, the Pope. They've captured every single aspect. And now the squeeze is on and everybody's wondering and panicking. And I'm like, where were you when the first rap went around and you were looking at this big snake head in the eyes and it was smiling at you like it was trying to be your friend and make your life simpler by giving you a device, which is your prison tag? Where was everybody? And I just feel we're devoid of real thinkers and
So the illegals come in. Here's a credit card for $10,000. And here's a free cell phone. How do people who are so poor in countries in Africa and Haiti and South America, like out in the jungle, how do they all have some iPhone and some? I think you get my point. And because it's run on purpose.
angry men. Everyone says, be more positive, make the best of it. When something is a pile of shit, sometimes you just have to say, this is a pile of shit. And you have to get the cleaning squad out. And my biggest disappointment is a little bit in myself and the rest of mankind. The men's job were protectorate of the families. And we've slept. We've slept through this thing, and now we want our lives saved. And this massive anaconda has got 6 loops around us and is squeezing the life out of us. And now you suddenly realize the severity of the system. It's literally, you don't get fire insurance as the fire is busy engulfing you in your kitchen. You get it before. And I feel that's my big disappointment. And I'm fascinated to see how you've responded, because to you as well, the warrior spirit, have we all had our testosterone managed down through the water? I distill all my water, but what's happened to everyone? I really want the answer of that.
I don't think I like the way they're speaking. That's toxic masculinity.
Even, being claimed to be far right, insane. Okay, whatever the media will paint them, but I'm shocked by the lack of reaction. And I don't know if you have an understanding or maybe we just wackos. I don't know.
It's a decline of civilization. That's all it is. And going back to what you were saying about BlackRock and what I was saying about the CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies, the younger generations, they're totally digitized, and that's their world. Everybody's like this. People, when you walk down the street, they don't say hello anymore. They're looking at their phone. By the way, I don't carry a cell phone. I did work.
Smart.
I did work for the cellular telecommunications industry going back to the 1993, 94, when they had boxes in the trunks of cars with aerials.
I remember that.
And I've been studying the radio frequency radiation of these things since the beginning. Back in France, into about 2004, 2005, they were banning cell phones for children because your brain shield is thinner and the waves were going in deeper. But of course, they got sold out. And then the latest study that came out, and they hardly report them anymore, from the University of California at Berkeley, was that if you're on a cell phone for 17 minutes a day for 10 years, your chances of getting a brain tumor only increase by 60%. So going back to what you were saying and what I was saying.
Only 60%. Don't worry, it's not that much. I remember where I live here about 20 years ago, probably longer. Holy man, I'm getting old. I'm old. I'm 45. Okay, maybe, I don't know, let's just say 25 years ago. They were putting in big big power lines, like they're really big ones, and people were writing in because they were worried about the radiation, and they did studies, and they were kind of right. But I also remember the first studies with the cell phones, and what they're saying is true. What that guy just said there is true, but of course it's been forgotten. And to add to this, and I forget if they talk about more than this. There's a lot in this video that think about it. They have added fluoride to our water, and okay, I just learned about this today. Not that, but could it be possible that they put fluoride in our water? There's a lot of people who are beginning to say this now, to shrink our pineal gland, which makes people have a harder sleep, think, everything. It makes you less intelligent in the end by drinking water. And they claim that they put it in there to... I was just going to grab something that's too far from my spine. For your teeth. Do they really care about your teeth? I had to look back. It started in Grand Rapids in 1945. I didn't look further than that. You think of all the things in our foods. Okay, so you take that with the phones, like that radiation, that's bad. How about microwaves? Don't stand by them. 5G. How about fluoride? How about big sugar, big pharma, all these things? Wow, man. No wonder there's so many autoimmune diseases. And then people will call you a conspiracy theorist for naming the things that cause these issues. And there are so many diseases. I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands, that never existed. And you can pinpoint to when they didn't exist and when they added this or that.
About the future, it's all going to be digitized and everything. The younger generations, this is their life. Little kids, infants are on these things. So it's going to be very easy to sell. Very easy.
And they're addictive. They're designed to be addictive, like
Yep.
all the industries of a certain group, whether it's gambling, mercantilist, tertiary lending, devices like with TikTok, thrills and spills, 5-second wonder clips. It's designed to be addictive. You have to choose your addictions. And I don't know if you can ever be bereft of any of them, but I think the
Well,
health addictions are far better ones to have
Bottom line, the
than the
morals have gone out
alcohol
the window.
bootleggers of years gone by. And yeah, these perps are continuing to run, and as you say, the mafia that ran all these industries and were the criminal syndicates are actually now the official governments,
yep.
or are owning the official governments, and those official governments are now proxies. They're very weak proxies. I mean, we have to pivot back to the World Health Organization and what they're getting through here, where essentially now they're getting agreements where essentially this is your health department, no matter what country you live in, no matter what province. Your localized government and your main government are literally relay stations from on high. How do people not see the inherent danger given the absolute perversions and deceptions that have been made clear from the events of March 2020? What's your take on that? Is there any way we wrestle this back?
Yeah. We need again. I launched Occupy Peace a decade ago, and I'm totally opposed to this war machine that's going on. Again, I grew up during the Vietnam War. I was prime draft meat, and by the way, I was stupid enough to believe the crap. I even voted for Richard Nixon in 1968. The only reason I didn't want to go to Vietnam is I didn't want to get my brains blown out. And by the way,
Self,
but again, I believe the crap because I believe the mainstream media. I was a kid,
yeah, yeah.
but the warmongers like Biden, five draft deferments during the Vietnam War. He's 3.5 years older than me. And his last one was he had asthma. He bragged about what a great athlete he was in college. So going back to what could change it, we need peace on earth. We need a renaissance. We're talking about how, what they got it wrong in the King James Bible. They say the meek shall inherit the earth. The geeks have inherited the earth. Look at the clown show it is.
I think what they're saying is true. I don't mean about the Bible and the meek shall inherit the earth. I mean, like, the geeks have inherited the earth for now. The meek are quite different from that. So the geeks are showing just how brutal they can be. I'm not saying it's all of them. You know what I mean.
Zuckerberg, a cook, a clown, one jerk, a peach eye, one little nothing of a boy. Nothing. They've taken a. Once upon a time, there used to be a thing called jazz in America, from ragtime to swing to R&B to rock and roll to Motown, and now it's one bad synthesized rap. Stupid crap, junk music. All the beauty of what America used to be is all gone. We need a renaissance. We're talking about the COVID war before when they launched it. What followed the Black Plague? The people got hip to the scene.
But that's the nature of life, right? It changes. But one of the arguments could be said that, well, before a certain time, things didn't change that much, and you're right. It was these advancements in technology that really changed stuff, and like, what destroys, you may argue otherwise, but I know I'm right. You know what destroys imagination is people being on the internet all day, listening to other people, watching these videos. Think of how many people who literally cannot tell you where Ukraine is. They can't tell you where Australia is. Like, this is how bad it is. Like, in anywhere in the States, anywhere in Canada, this is the way a lot of people are. It's because of the internet. It's because of this. Everything's got to happen right now. There's no imagination, so there's no artistic quality anymore. No intelligent lyrics and songs. Some, yes. That's why I choose not to surf the internet in incorrect ways. I do it to educate myself and to learn. That's what I do. And I don't carry a cell phone. I carry a cell with me. I carry a smartphone. I don't use the data on it at all. I have a cell phone. I have texting if I need it, but it's mostly off.
60% of Europe was wiped out. They were killing themselves with the sanitation and the filth. They went back to the past. Alla Romana all'antica, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients. They described the quality of their work. We need a renaissance. We need art. Art is the way of finding the true meaning of the human spirit, I believe. And it's all gone. We need a renaissance.
I agree.
And we need to get rid of the crime syndicate that
the art.
People call in the United States Republicans and Democrats. This crime syndicate's been running the damn show for what? Well over 100 and couple of years, 150 years. I mean, what the hell are they kidding? And again, the rich own everything. You got that little boy of nothing, Beto O'Rourke, down in Texas, ran for governor. $100 million to lose. Another piece of nothing, little garbage, Stacey Adams, on being fair, men and women, over in Georgia, ran for governor. $100 million lost. Hey, how about putting $100 million in for a peace movement? Get the hell out of here. What the hell are you talking about? Get lost. No peace. So that's the way I only see it.
What he's saying is, like, the amount of money people spend, like, there are people who are quite obviously going to lose a presidential race, but they still get their donors, like, spending like $200-300 million. It just goes to waste when it could have gone to feed people when it could have gone to house people. This is the insanity. And the numbers that we hear every single day are so big. Like, let's give Ukraine $30 billion, $60 billion, $100 billion. Canada's giving them huge amounts of money, too. Anyway.
We have to go to a higher spirit.
But it's very difficult to do with this anaconda snake reptilian that's actually running the show. I'll take you into a dark place. Watch some material on Ukraine, because I know that, like Israel, is very central to you. They're actually, since 2014, the Maidan.
That's a part of it. It's here. This is your that's a part of it. It's here. This is your magazine, the Trends Journal, back in 2014. Here's the headline: Washington is driving the world to the final war. This is written by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan. Washington concluded that Russia needed to be confronted with or distracted by problems that would leave the Russian government less confident or able to counter Washington's aggression elsewhere. Ukraine presented the perfect opportunity for Washington to advance its hegemonic agenda. In a speech at the National Press Club last December, which was 2013, Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland boasted that Washington had invested $5 billion to non-governmental organizations in Ukraine for the purpose of the NGOs to, quote, to teach democracy. The United States overthrew the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych. It's the United States fighting Russia since the end of World War II. When I was a kid,
So what you just said is true. The U.S. is responsible for what happened in 2015 and what has led to now. This brings me to something that you may not have in your belief system. I found a lot of things when I was following Seventh-day Adventists, because I was finding a lot of truth with them in terms of, because I was taking the same journey as a lot of them and reading the Bible and finding the lies of the Catholic Church. So I'm like, man, these guys are, this Catholic Church is demonic. Look at all the things that they're keeping from people and their history. And it led me to learn all different kinds of prophecies. And one of those was that America in Revelation is the beast of the earth. Why are they the beast of the earth? Because they emerged in a land where there was barely any people. There's a beast of the sea, right? And that means in a place where it's a populated area, which I would be wrong. And then the second Rome, which I believe is the United States. That's what I believe. I believe the beast was mortally wounded when the Pope was taken by Napoleon's General Berthier in 1798. 1,260 years, the Catholic Church oppressed the people. And then when that general took the Pope, they got their mortal wound. That's what I believe. I'm not telling you to believe it, but the prophecy adds up. And look at all the evils America is. Look where it's going. Look what they're doing. I can't pretend to know everything in Revelation and what everything is, and I can't. You know, I don't think anyone really can. It doesn't mean some people don't have it right? But that's what I believe. I think America is really evil right now, and I don't mean everyone, right? I just mean, look at all the evil that's happening. It's turning into like much worse than Babylon. This is what God talked about. He said, hey guys, take a look. No, he said, Jesus said, Yeshua said, it'll be like the days of Noah. So think in your mind, what were the days of Noah like? All they thought were evil things in their minds. That's all they thought of. Does that sound like today? Does that sound like today? Because it is today. It's Matthew 24. any worse than this is going to be war. That's what I think. And in war, it can get pretty brutal. I want to know Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Yahweh, Elohim. That's all I want to know. These guys are speaking a lot of truth, and this is why I'm playing this.
Hiding under a desk in case an atom bomb went off because the Russians were going to drop one. It's been going on nonstop. And again, when you talk about Ukraine, we have to put, again, not according to the EU, it's the most corrupt country in Europe. And a poll out of Ukraine about 2 months ago of the Ukrainian people, the number one concern was the war. 89% were concerned about corruption. It's a disgusting, crime-ridden, corrupt nation. And so what you're talking about is just part of the whole sickness of what it is. And as an American, this is none of my business. There's a guy by the name of George Washington, his farewell address. Do not become involved in any foreign entanglements. Don't love a nation or hate a nation. If you do either one of them, you become a slave to them. This is a real man that fought, not like these little boys, like a little ballless Barack Obama, or a little arrogant Bill Clinton, or a little Georgie Bush. These guys couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag, but boy, did they love war. So again, there's going to be a false flag event that's going to get the United States involved in this war. Look what just happened a couple of weeks ago. 3 people were killed. 3 American soldiers were killed on the borders of Ukraine and Jordan. What the hell are we doing over there, number one? And the United States bombs the hell out of Syria and Iraq. 3 dead? Oh, today, over 100 Palestinians were bombed to death by Israelis as they were trying to get food that was being delivered as they're being starved. The hell with them. There's only 30,000 of them that they killed. A couple of about 60, 80, 100,000 wounded seriously. Who cares? But 3 Americans, oh my God, bombs away. You get it? There's going to be a false flag event. And what Israel is doing, by the way, I've
been hearing about a lot of false flag, this and that. And this is a part where, like I don't really want to give my opinion on, about, well, I'll say something. I'm all about peace. What I know in the Bible is that God says that Israel will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And I'm not saying what happened on October 7th was horrific, man. The things that they did were so bad. And anyways, you heard what I said, what they said, and then what I said at the beginning of this. I just don't really have an opinion. But what I can say is, I think Israel itself is justified in trying to kill, the terrorists. Wouldn't it be nice if just the people banded together, the Palestinians, and gave, fought against the terrorists to get the people to give so they could stop the war. Who knows what's happening? And it is unfortunate that many people are dying. And so beyond that, I don't know really what else to say. Remember, those terrorists are pretty brutal people.
Hate mail. They call me an anti-Semite. One guy told, F you, Salenti, you're a piece of on and on and on. I respond back. I said, oh, you like the murder going on over there? And don't call me an anti-Semite. The people running Israel are Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe. They are not Semites. Semites are from the Mesopotamia region. Palestinians are Semites. They're not Semites. So save your crap. And number 2, don't tell me I hate.
And DNA proves that, by the way.
Yeah. So what he's saying is probably true.
DNA proves everything you just said.
What he's saying is likely true. And that's why I have to learn a bit more about it. But obviously a lot of Jews, immigrated into Israel because of what happened in World War II, right? And even prior to that. But so the question is, who are the real Jews? And I don't know what God's going to do. But if you're Jewish and that's what you practice, you're Jewish, right? But originally Jewish, I don't know. I have to look further. Feel free to leave a comment on that.
Which is something I find myself saying all the time.
Yeah.
Khazars from the Caspian Sea were never part of Levant. Anyway, on your Japanese side in the Cold War, how we started the war with Russia, it's quite ironic. I posted a tweet out this morning, literally, and it goes about the Americans and the British. They blatantly, repeatedly ignored desperate Japanese attempts for signing an unconditional surrender because firstly, they wanted to drag out the war for as long as possible. I remember Julian Assange making this key point, by the way, in one of his famous clips, saying wars aren't meant to be won, they're meant to drag on for the extraction benefit they give those running the system. Then going back to this, demonstrate the world, they want an opportunity to demonstrate to the world the devastating effect of the atomic bomb. So here was a country wanting to surrender, saying it's okay, you've won.
Maybe that's partly true, but I've studied World War II, and I can tell you that I don't know what kind of information since I've last, I don't study it anymore, that definitely the United States wanted to end it quickly because they were worried that what they had forecasted to take the island would have been, and they didn't all know all the stuff that Japan had hidden, would cost 1 million soldiers' lives. I think it was just American lives. So they wanted to drop the bomb. When they do all these new weapons, of course they want to do a testing field, right? But you have to know, if you've seen, I've seen I've seen the documentaries and read the articles and books that all the Japanese parliament, still after the bomb, didn't want to give up until they learned that Stalin and the Red Army were coming their way. They more wanted to surrender because the Red Army was coming their way, because that meant communism. They are more afraid of that than the atomic bomb. Go figure, right? So I don't know if I can agree with what he's saying. It's probably partially true.
Whatever your rules, surrender, unconditional. And they said, no, we're carrying on with the fight. More men dying in the field because the big guy's saying no. And now we're going to play our big trump card. And the main reason behind that is, and this was US Secretary of State Edward Stettinius Jr., the son of JP Morgan partner in 1945. Our entire post-war program depends on terrifying the world with the atomic bomb. We are hoping for a tally of 1 million dead in Japan, but if they surrender, we wouldn't have anything. So they refused the surrender, and this was civilian citizenry. This was the equivalent of Dresden, just on a much grander scale. According to the historian Houston Mullis, President Truman didn't make the decision. He was a Masonic organizer in Missouri before becoming president. Bernard Baruch Puppet and Rothschild principal agent in the USA and presidential advisor for Woodrow Wilson Kennedy, Mr. Oppenheimer, Robert Oppenheimer, the research director, a lifelong communist. It was very much the banker's bomb, and it was named the Manhattan Project after where he happened to live, which I think is not too far from your growing-up spot. So that's the history. They were thinking already.
Well, can you imagine what would have happened if the Russians spy didn't get the secrets to the bomb, and then they had their own in 1949. So it's like they had 5 years after. It was like they were doing code breaking or something like that. And he was looking right over the shoulder. He was like a spy and doing all these code breaking, and he saw and he decoded all this stuff. Forget if they captured that guy, but Anyways, it was out. They developed their own bomb by 1949. That really changed the world. But hey, what would it have been like if America had it? These are like this is like your battleships, right? They're your um, that's the equivalent of like your aircraft carrier type, your your big brother, right? That protects you.
Already about the Cold War before they were done and signing the peace treaties of the
Yep.
World War II. And you were made to climb under tables. And can I tell you, ironically, I had the same experience being schooled in South Africa on the tip of the African province, where the nearest nuclear power was probably Israel, as they were killing Kennedy to ensure that. So, I mean, we all got put through that drill of under the desk. It's unbelievable. What do we do? How do people invest? You've got limited time left.
Yep.
Give us your 5-bullet plan in conclusion, Gerald. What do people do to A, make some money? It sounds a bit puerile, to protect their money and to be safe from the blowback of all these geopolitical events that we see that are only a false flag away from being triggered.
All right. First of all, for people, I recommend that people get in the best shape they can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I see that with you, and we're both not kids anymore. We both stay in good shape.
Indeed.
And and that's the number one thing, because when you're feeling healthy, you think clearer.
And you're more
And
positive. It
yeah,
fights the psyop too.
yep. And so that's the number. And by the way, the first book I worked on back in 1984 came out in 86, Natural Healing. And when nobody was
Great.
talking about this back then. So that's the number one thing. And and again, we don't give financial advice.
Yeah.
You prepare for the worst. If the worst doesn't happen and you're prepared for it, you lose nothing. If the worst happens and you're not prepared, you could lose everything. So to me, again, not financial advice, gold number one, Bitcoin number two, and Bitcoin's a gamble, but we've been saying it. It's in your trends journal, week after week, month after month, year after year. We gave the highs and the lows, where it's going, and we've been right on the numbers. And now as we're speaking, it's at 63,000.
So what have I been saying to you guys? And I say it on other YouTube channels that I I can't think of complicated words right now. It's that bad sometimes because my back. Get healthy. Stop eating crap. You stop eating crap, you're going to start sleeping better. When you wake up in the morning, go eat, then go for a walk. Go take one walk a day. If you take one walk a day, you're going to save yourself a heart attack. If you do that every day, and if you tell me that walking once a day for half an hour is hard, you've got a lot of problems. That's not my opinion. That'd be the opinion of many people. But because I live alone, because I lost a lot of weight because of my abdominal disorders, but because I have a lot of like I have my own small business, I do a lot of hobbies, I have to do many things, I have to get my meds, I have to be in good shape. You know what? Remember I say, before I got this disc issue, before it popped out of place, get strong. I don't mean go be a weightlifter, like a bodybuilder. I don't mean like that, or even a strength lifter. Just be in good shape. They say being in good shape or just in shape is one of the best defenses for someone attacking you. Like, by far, more than knowing martial arts. As like in a general sense, like just be, and you might avoid that. But to be able to fight days where you, for instance, this disc, I may be fighting this, get in good shape, and if you suddenly find yourself in a bad rut, of something that's going to last you a couple or even a few months or longer or shorter, you're going to wish you were in good shape. And what they're saying here is, I guess, prepare a bit with food, because you never know. Dry foods last quite a long time. That's all I have to say about that.
$1,000 a coin. This is something that started, from zero about 13, 14 years ago?
And people talking about Bitcoin and all these different things, I have zero faith in them. None.
Fractions of a cent, yeah.
And if there wasn't Bitcoin, by the way, gold prices would be way, way higher. And the reason there's a lot of Bitcoin buying is because, like in countries in Argentina where you have inflation skyrocketing through the roof, and other countries, people are buying Bitcoin. They can't afford to buy gold. They buy a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and silver. That's what we see.
It's advisable to buy silver, by the way. You know, I think what they're saying is to buy silver, because you never know what that might be worth if you can afford it. I'm not telling you to buy a whole lot of stuff, like the Bible says. They were hoarding all the metals in the last days. It's not like that. Enough to keep, if you bought, I'm not going to say a number, because anything under $100,000 is probably not considered a lot to God. I don't know. I can't pretend to know. But to buy them in little pieces, like a $50 coin here, $50 coin there, because how are you ever going to trade with someone when you can't buy or sell, right? How are you ever going to trade with someone if you have a 10-ounce bar of silver? So buy them in small pieces. I'll be back in a second. I find this video super interesting.
And as for real estate, it depends where you are, where it's going. We don't see a crisis in the home market, but prices will go down when the crash comes. And the crash is going to come when the banks go bust. That's when it makes it official. So those are the things we're looking at. And again, you go to the Trends Journal, it's over 100, the average is over 170 pages a week, no ads. And we tell you what in the world's going on, what it means, what's next. We write, this is what they're reporting. Here's our trend analysis. Here's our trend forecast. So it's not propaganda. This is what we're saying, how we see what they're saying. And to give you the advice on what you might want to invest in. We don't tell you, just think for yourself. But there's no magazine like it. There's no magazine. I'm the only trend forecaster. They don't teach it at Harvard, Princeton.
If you're as old as I am, or even a bit younger, Francis Hunt on my left-hand screen, I could almost imagine Max Headroom. You'll get my joke.
Yale, nowhere, no magazine, nobody. And by the way, it's the grand total of $2.86 a week. The toilet paper record, the New York Times, $4 a day. The Wall Street Journal, $5 a day. So we're giving people everything we can because we're fighting to help humanity and life on Earth be the best it can. So we're supporting.
And what is the website for registering for that?
Toilet paper is cheap now, by the way, just letting you know.
We'll put it up in the banner as well.
Trendsjournal.com.
Trendsjournal.com. Easy enough. Trendspluraljournal.com. That's amazing. Excellent. Gold, silver. What about the blowback in the geopolitics? I'm afraid I've been saying get out of the northern hemisphere, Gerald. I don't know how that sits with you.
It doesn't make a difference where you are. They asked you were talking about the atomic bomb before. They asked a cat by the name of Albert Einstein, who knew a thing or two about the atomic bomb, what kind of weapons will be used to fight the Third World War? He said, I don't know, but they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the
stones for the next one, yeah. Great quote, yeah.
Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it off. And you know what it's like now? Because I'm on my computer a lot, and I don't mean watching crap either, okay? I'm I'm on there because I'm writing articles and because I'm on my business. And so, on a laptop, when you look on the bottom, right here, you can see this, right? There's a ticker there, right? And you click on it and the news comes up. You put your thing on it, the news comes up. When all this stuff with Ukraine began and COVID, there was, very strange stories coming up, and there weren't a lot of them, but by the Ukraine war, they started getting really bad. The deception came like never before. And when you look at it now, they're never ending. They're never ending. And you know why that is? Because the left has done it. And things are ingrained everywhere, in music, in Hollywood, in every facet of society. So today is the day to know Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Elohim our God. Guys, get saved today. It's coming. Something is coming. I don't know when things are going to. I'm looking at this eclipse and I'm really having a lot of hope in it. And whatever God, pray to God to help you for whatever's coming. I find it very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. And if something good happens, well, that'd be really cool. But if something, I believe it's a warning from God. It's quite obvious to me, like, it's a sign of Jonah. That means to repent. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in America, and the mark is over America. Get to know God today before it's too late. This is called eternity. That you'll be eternally separated from God. That's what will happen. I'm not going to talk about hell and burning and fire and brimstone. What is true is you'll be eternally separated from God. You'll have no protection. Even if you don't believe and you're an atheist and you're listening to me, you still have some protection from God. The sun still shines on you, doesn't it? So, anyway, I hope for everyone. God bless, guys. And I'll leave that link, Charles Lawson AI. Go look for it if I forget, because I'm not doing this right now. I'll try to write it somewhere where I can remember. God bless.